Welcome in investors to the OIG podcast. I am Kevin Orsinger here today with Max Messett. Topic of the day, Max. What do the wealthy people do different with their money?
Yep.
So give us some
Yep.
insight on that.
Yeah. So I think this is a good topic. And I think a lot of listeners will probably be surprised at our answer because it's not hit the lottery. And I know a lot of people probably start this with, oh, they must hit the lottery. And that's not the case here. I'm not saying you can't get wealthy by hitting the lottery, but, by all means, hit the lottery and make it work. But um, we're going to cover a couple topics today with what the wealthy do different that I think will not shock, but just really set the ground for um, the mindset around money, what to do and what wealthy people do with money. And again, wealth looks different to everybody, so I don't want to approach this in a way of one shoe fits all. Um, but when we're looking at this, someone that has accumulated wealth in the investment side of things by strategies and tactics that they've taken and used. And I think the biggest one that we start on, Kevin, is, we always say start early. And I think one of the most important things for investors is that long-term approach and staying patient in their approach and what that's going to look like from their start date to the date that whether they decide they're wealthy or not. Maybe that's retirement, maybe that's in retirement, maybe that's trying to be done early, right? A lot of people, their goal is to retire early. But it's that long-term mindset. And like I said, you've seen a lot, you've been in the business to see that journey for people of what that long-term mindset does for people.
Yeah, there's that old saying, that life is a marathon, not a sprint,
Yeah.
and this kind of falls into it. Um,
Yeah.
Consistent, disciplined habits
Mm-hmm.
are usually a key for anyone that builds wealth. And you're right, wealth for person A could be I just have enough money to retire at age
Right.
62. Wealth for person B could be known. I plan on buying an island
Right.
someday and anything short of that. So it's not for us to determine for individuals what that is. It's a matter of what it is in your mind.
Yeah.
And then how do you get there? And starting early and being patient, because unless you win the lottery, it takes time
Yeah.
to build wealth. Very few of us are born on third base where we've got a family that has generational wealth that's going to hand that down to us. And from day one, I'm good. I'm going to have more than I could ever spend. 99.9% of us need to get up every day and go put a good effort in with our employer or our job or with our business. And then what we do with that money is ultimately going to be the determination of do I get to whatever figure that is that makes me feel wealthy.
Yeah.
And it is different for everyone.
I think with that too, one thing that I've noticed and had a lot of conversations about is that instant gratification. As humans, I think, we are impatient beings where it's like, hey, I'd love to do something today, and then tomorrow I'm set up that I could retire or I could make a difference or buy this or do this with my money. And I think with investing and with the individuals that are successful on that side, the instant gratification isn't something that is in their mind. It is that process driven, kind of like you talked about. It's that long term, we're going to do this for 30 years and then we're going to be successful. There's a process in that goes along with all this. And I like to saying, enjoy the process. Take the time to sit down and talk with somebody and lay that out. What's that look like? And then enjoy it. Enjoy doing it. Enjoy watching your account do this or that or what your goals are. Because it's not an overnight fix.
So social media hasn't helped
Yeah.
with this too. We live in a society
Yeah.
where, and I'm guilty of it too. You get in that rabbit hole on one of the social media sites, and there's always some. And if you're not watching this, you're just listening. It's the air quotes. There's always some genius
Yeah.
on there telling you what the life hack is to get rich and wealthy. And the reality of it is they're full of nonsense, and they're just selling you some line of BS. It is long term. We had a social media post recently where patience is an investor's best friend.
Yep.
You're not going to get rich overnight doing it. But if you do it consistently and if you do it with discipline, you're going to be in a significantly better situation, whether that's 10 or 20 or 30 years from now than you were if you thought, well, because I didn't get rich in 6 months, I'm going to stop doing this. It's a waste of time. Now that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works.
And with that, Kevin, so we talk a lot about, and I think this is a cool topic, is the term of live below your means.
Yeah.
That's something that we do talk a lot about and just in general. And I think there's tiers to that as well because, somebody that's making $50,000 compared to somebody that's making $500,000, the $500,000 individual can spend just as much as that $50,000 and have the same amount left over. And then we look at that as who put stuff into investments account. The $50,000 individual very easily could be accumulating wealth just the same as that higher income earner. With that, it goes back to live below your means. You have to be able to understand, and like you said, be a process driven of, I'm going to put X amount away because there has to be that equation of spending to saving.
Yeah, we've talked a lot as we've done now double digits of these, of being connected to your money.
Yeah.
And I think part of living below your means is you have to know what's coming in and what's going out. And to me, this is something that quote unquote wealthy people do better than everyone else. Is not to the penny, not to the dollar, but they've got a pretty good idea every month of what comes in and not only what goes out, but where it's going out. And does all of that need to go out?
Yeah.
That being connected to your finances, both incoming money and outgoing money, really gives you an opportunity to look at something and say, gosh, why am I spending my money on that? Yeah. We all probably are guilty of, you've got a subscription to something somewhere that because it's auto billed every year that you've forgotten about it.
Yeah.
And it's 5 years since you've used it, but you're spending $178 a year on something. People that are connected to their money don't let that happen more than about a year, if it even happens that time. So know what's coming in, know what's going out, live below those means. You've talked about in past episodes too, Max, of that lifestyle creep. So, when you're 25 years old and you're just kind of making enough to get by, and all of a sudden in the next couple of years, you get a significant pay increase. Talk to us about lifestyle creep and how that can negatively impact you.
It's easy to have it happen to you. It's easy that, let's say you were living on X amount when you were 25, just because now you're 35 making more money, all of a sudden that your monthly expense just creeps up. That's all it is, because you're spending more money because you have more money, and it might be subconsciously. I'm not saying you're making an effort to, hey, I have more money to spend. You just get more comfortable, and then you go to the store and you're buying more because you have the money to do it, and you can afford it. And, going out to eat once a week turns into going out to eat 4 times a week. And next thing you know, before you know it, you were saving $500 a month when you were 25, and now you're 35 saving $200 a month, making 20 grand more because your lifestyle creep has taken that over. And it's super easy to do. And I think that's a great thing you brought up, because I don't think people understand how easy that truly is to do without being connected to your money, tracking your money. And the other thing I want to hit on with this, guys, it's not rocket science, but it also does take discipline, and it takes, sacrifice of, you have to understand that if this is going to be a goal of yours to retire early, or, have a stress-free financial retirement where it's like, I can walk out the door and not have to worry about it. It takes sacrifice. It takes discipline to do these things. Sure. Putting the money in the account month per month is not hard, right? You can link your bank account and it comes out automatically, and it is not a hard transfer of money and get it invested and make it work for you. It is that mindset of, you got to get yourself to a place. We can't do it for you. No one else can do it for you. You have to make those sacrifices. You got to understand that, hey, my income went up. I have extra money to save as well. Your spending can go up. Your savings need to go up as well with that. It can't all be, I went to the store 5 times and bought 20 new outfits because I know I have the money to spend. I went to the store, maybe bought 1 new outfit and put an extra $300 in my Roth IRA because I know that's what's going to pay off for me in the future. So,
and you bring up a good point. It's okay to treat yourself if you're doing better. If your income's up $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over what it was 2 years ago, it's okay to enjoy some of that.
Yeah.
There needs to be balance, but what you can't do, as Max said, is take every extra dime you have and go spend it on something without focusing on, my income's gone up, my savings needs to go up at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
and we go, and what do you see, Kevin, with wealthy, a lot of maybe your later in life wealthy clients that they have done from the start, that it's like, that needs to happen from an individual standpoint to do this stuff?
It's just the routine of savings, I
Yeah.
think is the biggest thing. It's not even the amount that you start with. Um, they've all just started early. They've all, when
Yeah.
they've had the opportunity to increase from $100 a month to 200, 200 to 500, or 500 to 1,000, or whatever that math looks like, they've done it. They've done it consistently. They've done it over numerous, this wasn't, they didn't start at 50. They started at 22 or 23 or 25, and they did it for 30, 35, 40 years.
Yeah.
And I know if you're 25 and you're listening to this, you're thinking, holy crap, you two dopes.
Right.
40 years from now is an eternity. Right. It isn't. I'm 56 now, and 25 was a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
So it goes by quickly. You cannot make up for any of that lost time.
Yeah.
So if you have 5 years where you should have saved, you didn't, or God forbid it's 10 years, you're not making that up.
Yeah.
And unless you have the ability to save $25,000 a month, you're not catching up those lost years of growth. But yeah, the clients we have that I would say fall into that category of what I would deem to be wealthy aren't people that made $800,000 a year.
Yep.
They're people that had good jobs. They're educators. They're maybe they were small business owners. Maybe they were someone that every hour of overtime that you're going to give me, I'm going to take kind of person. And then they just saved what they made. They held on to more of what they made and didn't spend it on things they didn't need. They had a modest house when they probably could have afforded a much nicer one. But when they sat down and looked at it, it's like, it's got 4 walls, a roof. Yeah. I don't need anything fancier. Not that I don't want, I don't need.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. And you said, this is not some scientific, how exactly are you going to work it out? This is just making a decision that says, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this consistently. Anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Anybody can do it. Because again, everyone's wealth number is a different number. So whether you're saving $100 a month or $1,000 a month, that probably is determined by what you determine wealthy is.
Yeah, exactly.
What you ultimately want to do at the back end. So what else should we be looking at?
Yeah, with that too, I hesitate to fully throw it, but there's next step of that as well, right? People that, I do well, I make good money and I put a big chunk of it in the bank. Well, that's great. And I'm not, that is fantastic. You're starting off the hard part. You're doing the hard work. The next thing that we see a lot of with wealthy individuals, they make that money work for them. And we talk about that, getting it invested, letting it compound for you, putting it in something that if you never touched it again down the road, it's going to be worth more money than it is today. And that's without money going in. We obviously want more money going in, but that's how the terminology of make your money work for you is getting it invested, get it in the stock market, work with somebody like ourselves that you can figure out what makes you comfortable with your risk and how does it need to be invested at my age and all that good stuff. But wealthy individuals, they don't let dollars just sit there on the counter, right? They don't have dollar bills laid out and saying, well, there's my 10 grand of this. Like they get that money and they get it to work early. And as soon as it can, it's not drag my feet 3 years and wanted to see what would happen. It's like the day they got it, that sucker's getting put somewhere that it's gonna make them money. Yeah. And I know we've talked about that a lot of, money at the bank is great. And we talk about emergency funds and all that great stuff. And it's stuff you need to have. Outside of that, your money's got to be doing something for you when it's just sitting there.
Yeah, it's got to work for you, as you said.
Exactly.
That money's making money while you're at work earning your paycheck.
Yeah.
That money's making money when you're on vacation, that it's going up.
Yep.
We talk all the time for individuals, a 10% rate of return in a year is 10% for everybody if you're invested the same way.
Yep.
The difference is if you have $50,000 invested, that 10% made you $5,000. If you have $5 million invested, that same 10% return made you $500,000.
Right.
So it's just a matter of an investor. How can I get that balance higher? So when my money is working for me, the net results are significantly higher.
Yeah. And in turn with that as well, as you add more money to that, right? That's the important part of continuing contributing. That account value grows and those percentages just kick off more and more growth for you.
That's the concept of compounding growth, as we've talked about, right?
That's it.
Right? It works the same every year, just as it compounds year after year after year. You have more money to have compounding growth on top of.
Yep.
Which just turns your money into significantly more money in the future. But we've seen that either people that don't realize how much money they've accrued at the bank, or the fact that, oh my gosh, I could have made 10% on this last year. And then the second one, you touched on it perfectly. It's having it, knowing you should do something different with it and not pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
You know, I should invest this, and it's a year later and you're having the same exact conversation with your advisor of, oh yeah, I should have, I meant to last year, but I lost track of it again. You're not connected to your money if that's how you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not important enough to you to get a cashier's check from the bank or whatever you need to do to get that money moved somewhere else. You have not made it a priority, and you need to.
Yeah. And the last thing, Kevin, I'm going to go on a whim here and say, and, you know, kind of for this whole episode is, wealthy people, what they do different than money is they work with somebody that helps them with their money, a financial advisor of some sort. It's funny. I had a conversation with my buddy who's a business consultant, and it was one of the things that he kind of brought up to me. And I said, what do you see with these companies? He said, Max, these aren't companies that are going under that we're working with. These are multi-billion-dollar companies that are just figuring out how to continue to do stuff better. Yeah. And that hit me. And that's exactly kind of what this conversation is. This is, how do you find the best play? You work with somebody, right? It's like a coach. This is a way to get money, figure out your next best steps. It's not a, I need help type deal. It's a, hey, I just want to make sure, here's what I got. Let's get all my ducks in a row. And here's my goals, but let's reach them. We see a lot of that of individuals, I feel, that, you know, aren't working with somebody and maybe don't have a full grasp on their financial side of things compared to those that are connected with their money, working with somebody, staying connected, having those conversations annually, quarterly, whatever that is on your schedule. Again, and this isn't biased in my opinion, you know, they end up in a better spot because of staying connected with their money. And you can talk out of experience for that, I'm sure.
Yeah. And we all have things in our lives that we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly.
You know, I hire a plumber at my house because, you know, the water's dripping.
Yeah.
What I don't know is I don't have any clue. Right. I could turn the water off to the house. That'll stop it from dripping, but then I can't use any water. So that's really the role of a good financial advisor, is to see around corners for you.
Yep.
You know, we have education and we have experience to know what you're dealing with, what some of the pitfalls are of doing it the way you're doing it, what needs change, what can stay the same, to ultimately get you on a path to get you to your goals. Not our job to set your goals for you,
right?
Or tell you that, no, that's not good enough. You need more. You need this. You know, if your thing is, listen, I just want to retire with a couple $100,000, that'll be enough for me to get by. Good. Let's find a plan to do that. You know, and if your plans change in the future, tell us what that is, and we'll see if we can help you with that as well. But yeah, we're working with somebody. You know, our job, as far as, you know, guidance, as far as planning, but also, you know, we talk about this percentage of return or that percentage of return. It's great on paper, but you actually have to obtain it as well. You can't just put it on paper, say, if we get X, you're going to get your goals. If you can't ever get X, then, you know, something needs to change. So a big role is how's your money invested? Are we getting the best returns possible we can with the lowest level of risk that we can take on for your situation and your appetite for risk, because everyone's a little bit different. I always laugh. A lot of new clients, you ask them what kind of returns they want, and they want 10%. How much money are you willing to lose? None.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's have a discussion. And you don't know what you don't know. That's not really, not really an option for you. So let's explain to you why, and let's explain to you some different ways to do it. But no, there is value. Max and I've talked before about, you know, we're not emotionally tied to anyone's money that we work with. You know, our job is to get your money to the goals that you have set and help you with a plan for it and hold you accountable for that discipline and that ongoing savings. But for short periods, if it goes up and it goes down, it doesn't impact us.
Right.
You know, our goal is to get you to your goals. And if those goals are 10 or 15 or 20 years from now, it does not matter what the markets do in the next 30 days.
Right.
Versus if, and listen, I'm an investor and Max, you're an investor, just like our clients are. It hits a little different when it's your money.
Yeah.
Not that you make any changes or make any rash decisions, but when I see my account values go down, there's a couple seconds to be like, son of a goodness. I have the same reaction clients have. You don't like it. It hurts. I've done this long enough that I'm able to walk myself off that ledge and just be like, relax. It's going to be fine with your money. But yeah, our job is to unemotionally get you to your goals.
Yeah.
And I think that comes with working with someone that cares about you and someone that you trust and someone that has experience to get you to where you need to be, without you really realizing it's happening, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're just going to do some simple things. And before you know it, you're going to be ready to retire and have more money than you ever expected to have.
Yeah. Yep. So I think that's probably it for this one. We want to pull up
absolutely.
I can run us through real quick, just the summary slide of some points in case anybody wants to take a look at it. So kind of some things here, guys, for listeners on this. If you're watching, you can see it. If you're listening, I'll kind of go through them. Is just, think long-term, stay patient. Those are some things from wealthy individuals, people that do differently with money here. Live below your means. We hit on that. Just, make sure you're saving more than you're spending is the end goal of that, and know what's going on with your money, know where it's going. Making money work for them. It's any dollar you have, instead of sitting on the counter and sitting there looking at it, get it in the market, get it into something that is going to make you money while you're trying to make more money. Whether it's your full-time job or you're an entrepreneur or whatever that looks like, have your money work for you. Manage risk. Kevin hit on a little bit of that, is, determining how to get to a goal. What's the investments look like? What are those percentages, and how do we actually make that happen? And the last one I kind of tied in here is focusing on growth and continue learning. I think the learning part of that comes in with working with somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, stay adaptive. If your goals change, let them know. You guys, like I said, plans are flexible. They're fluid. They can move, they can change. Things happen. And, but working with somebody gives you that freedom to bounce ideas off of and understand how do things have to change to get me to where I want to be. So that's kind of it for this one. I think that's been a really good talk here. And as you guys know, scan that QR code, get connected with us. Check that Linktree link out. All of our stuff's on there: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn on both sides. There's our contact information. If you guys ever have questions, concerns, topics you want to hear, get a hold of us. Give us a call, shoot us an email. It doesn't matter. We are wide open for ideas. We love bringing these to you guys, and hope you guys are finding a lot of value into them. And go check out our other episodes. There's a lot that we talk about in these that carry over from a lot of the stuff we have. Quarterly market updates. There's a lot of good information out there. So if you've seen this one, I just highly recommend go checking out the rest of them. And as always, we appreciate you guys watching. So
we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.
Absolutely. See you guys.